Hello all, this is Gamer1745, and I'm here. Looks like I have friends here waiting to play. But I'm gonna wait just a little bit before we get too far going on all of this. Tippets in realistic battles, Arno's waiting. Hello. I presume people can hear me. I don't know hardly if anybody's here yet. YouTube isn't quite as good at some of this as Twitch. And as you can tell, I'm not too good at it this morning right now. Okay, well, we'll invite the squad and then we already invited the squad, is that it? Maybe. I don't know why that can't. I want to do that. And a few people are playing other things. Watching now, 2 of us. Okay, very good. Okay, well, because he's in battle? I don't know. Players invited to squad. But 4. Yeah, Arno's invited. Oh, and we're gonna invite him. Cool. I'm just slowly getting ready here, people. No one said hi in the chat yet that I've seen. Oh, hello, ToyJet and IKB. Very good, very good, very good. Well, as I've sort of been muttering here, I'm here. I'm live. Tell you the few early, and may tell this again as more people get here. The story that's nothing too dramatic, but last night, probably around 8 p.m.-ish or so, the power goes out here, just poof, no more power. And so I have to look out the window to see, did a circuit breaker for my place trip. Hey Darkstar, good to see you. Sure, ToyJet, yeah, get on here. I just didn't see you on one of the friends online when I was looking, but I seen there's 4 there now. So ToyJet gets an invite, yes. Okay, so there are 4 of us in the squad now, so good. And we're looking at playing, and I'm still just trying to catch up. I'm going to move to my preset torpedo boats. So we want to go for 3-0 and less for aircraft and ships, preferably. People, if you can hear me, if that's going. So yeah, let's continue with the story. So the power goes out, and wonder if it's just me, or are you going to stay in a few games and then head off to bed? Okay, no problem, Tippet. We'll get to this very quickly. And so, is it me? Do I have to go flip the circuit breakers or whatnot? No, look out. The power's out for all the neighbors, street lights, everything. Well, after about half an hour, I decided, well, I was going to go to the grocery store anyways. Might as well go do that now. And on the way out there, I see a truck slowly moving up the alley with lights pointing up at the power lines, and yes, it's one of the power company trucks going along. And so wait a while and talk to the guy. Yeah, it's going to take a few hours to fix once the crew gets here, because he has a bucket thing on his truck to go up to the power lines on the telephone poles, is what we call them here in our country. And so, yeah, and okay, so, well, I don't know when we can get a crew here. And I go, well, I've got a live stream at 7 a.m. So, yes. Hello, Mecha Boy. We're going to do a little bit of War Thunder, and then we're going to jump over to more Hearts of Iron 4. So if you want to hang out for a little while for that, we will be getting that. So yeah, that is sort of the situation. And right about 6 a.m., pink, my TV comes on because I hadn't turned it off when the power had gone off. So, yes, there were ships bigger than Bismarck. What is it? Iowa class battleships, and of course the Yamato class was the biggest of all battleships. And so I've been sort of slowly waking up this last hour or so and eating and getting ready to be here with all of you nice people. So that's sort of the story. Just sort of interesting. Didn't have power for the night and was concerned about this. Okay, so we're going to, well, who isn't? Hey, Tippett, don't have a, gotta hit the ready to play button or get done with whatever you're sort of working on to get, okay, there we go. I know I was telling the story, but I wanted you guys to know. I'm gonna try to make a ship called the, yeah, they were trying that. No problem, I forget too, Tippett, just reminding you, no need to apologize. Okay, well, I'm going to head off towards B and start at the starting point, sort of nearest to B. If any of you want to follow me, that's where I'm heading towards. Yeah, pointing in the right direction, and there's Arno. With a somewhat more powerful early Elco, the 77. But you should use the M1 Abrams. I want to play World War II tanks. And last I checked, although very great, the M1 Abrams was not a World War II tank. So I have not ground myself up out of World War II vehicles. That'd take a long time, and I'm just quite honestly not interested enough to do that. There's typically his hydrofoil though. Now that I'm ready to shoot, an island appears in my way. Oh, there we go. Throw bullets at it, throw bullets at it. I don't know that I'm doing any good. Oh, torpedo coming. People, torpedo coming. Oh yeah, make the capture. I'm gonna now head out, I guess, towards C to make that capture. We're making a nice little loop here. I'm staying alive with only 10% crew loss. Oh, there we go. A bunch of torpedoes heading. Where are we? There we are. Made a ranging shot, damn it. There we go. One down. And I'm out. Well, dead from this, not out from the... Sorry, I'm not reading the chat. I will at some point soon. Yeah, well, I'm going to head back out towards where you guys are at B and then see what's happening maybe towards C, but maybe somebody will have already got it by that point. Good morning, JP. Like we see, I know I'm hitting it. It always seems like I'm hitting the other boat somewhat at least. And they hit me once and I all blow up. This seems that way. Not saying it is. We all know the real damaging firepower really would be from the 50s on these things. I have great respect for the 50 caliber. I can see the it's flashing right around them. 50 caliber machine gun. What are we shooting at? Oh, that. We get a gun on target? Yeah, it's probably not the one I'm shooting at that's gonna kill me. Oh, island coming up here. There we are. Oh, torpedo didn't get me, but... And it might not have. Okay, well, I guess... Head over to... Well, we'll take the 77 foot. Yes, you are now a moderator here, like I said I would do. And no responsibilities of needing to show up or anything. Just, if you're going to be here, help out a bit. But beyond that, just, if you're going to be here anyways, might as well have you help out. I would rather have a bunch of possible moderators. And so that if several of you have other things to do, can't make it, no problem. There we go, that's a nice clean gun kill. Let's see if we only have guns on this thing. This is Kennedy's third boat, if you don't know. Okay. The way he set up his boat after PT-109 got taken out. He got an old boat and mounted guns all over it. And we're dead. Oh. Yeah, so PT-59, 77-foot Elco, that had all the torpedoes removed. Maybe because they didn't have any of the torpedoes appropriate for that type of launching tube at that point in the war in his area of the Pacific. And he mounted two 40mm guns over it and a bunch of 50s all over the place. He seems to have similar feelings about things like that that I do. For as much as I'm not terribly fond of him as a president, tragedy that he was killed, that's, you know, I mean, you could sort of go without saying, and I don't mean to criticize him in any sort of manner, or you know, give justification to that. It's just not fond of him terribly on some other things, but I really seem to understand the idea of firepower. This guy has 650s in the nose of him. I can get close enough to hit something. Maybe I can do some good. And not good enough to deal with that. Ah, let's see. You can never have too much DACA. There's Tippett. And Toy Jet's up there on the Ju-88. I always liked the HE-111. I know it's not, you know, that great of a aircraft in that, you know, doesn't have any gun turrets. Dropping his bombs. Has machine gun positions around most assuredly, but, you know, compared to, you see, like, on the American aircraft with proper turrets. Oh, there are. So they got the German style of launching the bomb upside down. Yeah, well, we got best squad, but it's sort of cheating when there's four of us. Because there's four of us, and we'll do better than any, or most any, two-man squad. What was, let's see what Mecha Boy was saying earlier. Is it possible to play in this in open water? Yeah, they stick a lot of islands around, and I wish they would do a few open waters. More thing, the P-26 was used during the war. Yes, I haven't gotten that far, but it was also American heavy tank designed to counter the Tiger. Absolutely right, Mecha Boy. But the problem for me is, Germans did have a 4-engine. Yes, they did. A bit later. And they actually had one sort of 2-propeller, but 4 engines. Oh, no. Okay, cancel. Somebody's not ready? Oh. Tippett again. Not yet ready. Oh. The idea that once you start getting in late war tanks with War Thunder, I start encountering post-war tanks. So this is why I don't drive the Tiger II, because I'm going to be seeing, you know, much later M48 tanks or whatever in the similar sort of ranks, you know, T-55s or whatever. So I just don't play too far past to get out of World War II, and as the levels that I sort of get to, I start seeing too much for my taste of post World War II stuff. You know, where the USPT service is definitely a Top Gun atmosphere, so only Natural Kennedy had a fighter pilot mentality. I can say that. I can actually say that. Yes. But I see it as more than a fighter pilot mentality. Okay, I'm going to head up towards C mentality. It's sort of a overgunned mentality as I see it, because you know the day before his PT-109 gets sunk, rammed by, you know, sort of accidentally, I believe, rammed by a Japanese destroyer or other small ship. It's not actually a destroyer, I forget. And whether they even actually know the ship or not, I don't know. And Arno gets smashed by a larger S-boat. He had mounted a 37mm anti-tank gun up on the bow of his motor torpedo boat, just to increase firepower. So it's very much this sort of attitude of more guns, more guns, more guns. I like how yesterday, much later after the live stream, I played some more to earn another award thingy, and I love taking this boat out and going after the big destroyers and light cruisers with these. Just go out and sink a bunch. Spent on one map a lot of time. And yeah, even on the land warfare tank stuff, they, in my opinion, stick too many big rocks and things, but I guess they've done their research and find that people like to be able to hide behind. Yeah, we see the torpedo. And somebody shooting torpedoes behind me. I'm sort of hiding behind these rocks here. That not necessarily any one of the features, including any one of these features, are unrealistic in real life, and that they may all actually exist, but the conglomeration of them all in one location is a bit much. Yeah, thank you for that, people. We don't need freaking smoke screens every single place you could possibly lay one. I mean, not that they're not maybe helping me now, but get on target. And I'm out. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So we'll go back to the Elko, and I'm going to sort of head over where we were. Hello, Malcolm Hunt. Good to see you here. I'll read your comment in a moment. Whenever I play, oh, we got torpedoes coming. Whenever I play these sort of faster moving games, I still chat with you, but I don't read the chat as much. But I'll get there, and I do want you to post. I don't think the crew was quite this big, but it did have the 2 double 50s each side and the 3 other single 50s, and I think the idea was that the crew on board, oh, plus the usual already mounted 2 dual 50s on it, but I'm talking about the extra guns mounted on the sides. I think the idea was that the crew would just quickly man whichever side was likely to have the action. So they would come up like this if the island's sort of in front of the screen there, and attack the islands. There was a lot of that going on in Kennedy's operations. And so they would really want the firepower and didn't need torpedoes, and a lot of the boats they were going after. Japan really didn't have motor torpedo boats in the war. When I was reading, they towards the end of the war they developed some motor torpedo boats, but they were really freaking slow, really slow. And so Captain Hara, who wrote Japanese Destroyer Captain, very descriptive title, really thought that they were just suicide boats, and not in a good, effective way, but just, yep, they'd come out and they could launch torpedoes, but they'd be so slow because the engines that they sort of, you know, used on them, and they weren't necessarily new production engines. They were just engines they found. Oh, there's a light anti-aircraft area. That's a bad thing. And there's a plethora of aircraft coming right in at me, and they get me. What was that, 4 of them? Okay, what do I want to... A lot of aircraft. We'll bring in this thing. This is another 80-foot Elco. I like the 80-foot Elco boats, as you can sort of tell. This has this anti-aircraft quad barrel, which actually had a couple of 50s in it as well. It was developed. Okay. I'm just spamming out my torpedoes here. They developed and they mounted on a few boats, but you can see it has a lot of firepower on it. But really didn't go anywhere. Good. Guy sits in a little motorized bucket thingy to get all the... And it worked, supposedly, but just... You know, as we can see in reality, the U.S. did not face a lot of enemy anti-aircraft, so anti-aircraft weapons weren't quite as the thing they needed as much as they thought they might. Armies and navies tend to see if we can avoid all those torpedoes. Oh, good, you got him. Whoever that was. Before you got his attention back to me. Tend to fight themselves, or plan to fight themselves. Meaning, if we're using a lot of anti-aircraft, the enemy must. So we have to prepare to use them. The Germans developed anti-magnetic coating for their tanks because they use magnetic anti-tank mines that people run up and attach to the side of the tank. Nobody else uses them, so eventually they figured that out, and so they stopped wasting time in production. Where's their toy jet? Putting Zimmermann on their tanks because it's of no use, because nobody has that. I'm going after C. I'm going to C to see the C. I use 3 different C's. Words all sound the same. There's some very different meanings. I think there's somebody on the far side. We're going to go around this flank while this Mr. Smokescreen goes around that other flank. Hopefully they'll be either killed before we get there, or, which I want to kill, so maybe they'll be looking the other way. Oh, looks like he went down or went out of the moon capture thing. Come around without actually crashing into. Seems like that S-100 doesn't turn very fast, at least, and I haven't driven one, so I don't know, but at least from watching them. Jump Diggins has his, or Tippett has his light AA ferry out. I'll get to some of your comments, guys, don't worry. I will read them. But there was I think on either side there were like 2 more 50s on this little bucket thing that aren't on this, the Thunderbolt. You can't, because wherever I turn it, it looks, it says Thunderbolt across the top of it. That was the name of the gun, and it was somehow in conjunction with the Higgins Company. I don't know whether it was some of their employees who developed the thing, or whether they just worked with the Higgins people in Florida, I think it was, to make them, and a couple of boats got them, and I don't know how long they kept them. Like we see here, they burn through ammo really fast. Take a while to actually reload the thing, so you can sort of see why they don't. You know, if you weren't actually facing aircraft and you're going after a lot of other ground target type stuff or other small boats, it may be just a bit overkill. Who's shooting at me? This boat. No, it doesn't hurt me, but why? Yes, we know you're aggravated because you know there's an enemy out there, maybe. Yeah. Oh yeah, it looks like it maybe. Don't have a good target. Oh, this is a, hello, Harry. This is a 80-foot Elco with a special anti-aircraft gun, anti-aircraft gun. I've already launched 2 of my torpedoes. Oh, lost all of its vehicles, so my hunting for whatever this ship was is no longer needed. Okay. And what sort of gift are they giving me? Oh, so we get a talisman for the 78-foot Higgins, which I'm not really using. Don't like the Higgins like I like the Elcos. Higgins were okay. Higgins were good. There's only one, I think, Elco. I think only one surviving. Many more Higgins were surviving, but they made a lot of Elcos. You can see Elcos are in my pick a lot. But I think we're going to, yeah, as Tippet's saying, he's going to catch some sleep. We're going to end the War Thunder here, and we're going to go over to Hearts of Iron 4 with Man the Gun DLC. So your screen will be going black, though the stream isn't stopping. I'll still be talking and reading your comments as we start up Hearts of Iron 4 here. Alright, so let me scroll back up. Now let me hit play, hit load button, hopefully that one. Getting a USB t-shirt. More torpedoes are given. Well, actually, your comment, JP, a while ago about World War I torpedoes was probably actually, if they were given World War I torpedoes, they'd be more useful than the World War II torpedoes, because the World War II torpedoes wouldn't detonate and sink ships. So I would rather have a torpedo that works than one that doesn't. So now if you're saying they're not useful and that they're too old and out of date and somehow not functioning right, yeah, but I hadn't heard that they were specifically like World War I surplus, but it doesn't surprise me. But if you look into the submarine service and all the problems that they were having with the torpedoes, so called Eastern Front, Western Front to defend the skies from Allied bombings. Yes, that you have to take into account with the Allied bombing of Germany, its effectiveness. Partially, you know, how effective was it to destroy, say, a factory that's building a tank? They did destroy some factories that were building tanks, including like the Krupp factory that was building the Potees, which is in its 6-wheeled truck, light truck. But and then I think it was Alket that gets bombed later in the war in Berlin. So however much production they did damage, but we also see a lot of shift of resources, of fighter aircraft, and anti-aircraft guns and personnel that could have been used on other fronts effectively, that are put into the anti-aircraft role. So the bombings do have a significant effect, though they don't win the war, but they have a significant effect on Germany. This is why they had heavy reliance on Tigers and Panthers and King Tigers. Kind of like War Thunder, smaller ships, then bigger ones of the world. Well, they're moving the bigger and bigger stuff for War Thunder. Actually, control your own personal plane. Yeah. They're gonna. I don't have any particular inside information. I am part of the War Thunder's partners program for streamers and YouTubers, the lowest tier of it. So, and I just had an email from them, I think either yesterday or Friday, saying, hey, there's a, dev server for you to go on and play to try some of the new stuff. So I do get some and I can make videos from it. I can talk. I'm not under an NDA from anything I get from them, other than I can't let you into the sort of chat rooms that you get into there, but information is specifically for us to publicize their game. I didn't go into this last dev server I had access to, just didn't have time. But they're definitely moving to develop battleships and that kind of things. But they want to make you grind your way up, so that either you grind your way up slowly and present targets, or you buy Golden Eagles and pay them money to get there faster, or instantaneously. And that I'm perfectly good with the business model of War Thunder, because it's a free-to-play game, and you can play. Everything is free. You get eventually, except for the premium vehicles, and there's some advantages with some premium vehicles, but like my Jagdpanzer 4A, which is the Alket version, it has better ammo in it for the same gun as the Jagdpanzer 4V, the VOMAG version, but so it has better ammo, so it'll punch things better. But it has the Alket straight up and down part of the front of the tank, so it's more vulnerable. So I get killed more often with that. So, and it's taller, so it's a bigger target. So it's not 100% balanced, but it is balanced within the tiers. So you may get some cooler vehicles, but it's still tiered, balanced with everything out. So yeah, I'm perfectly happy with that. Now, if I had to pay for War Thunder and then pay for other things, that would piss me off. But since it's free, I'm perfectly happy and will defend their business model. Not that anybody was complaining, but I'm just stating that. Any electric torpedoes in the games, they would be difficult to spot. Not yet. I think they're going to keep adding all kinds of stuff to War Thunder as time goes on. I play mostly German tanks. I've got as high as I want to grind up with German tanks, and I've actually earned stuff that I haven't gone further. Basically, it's to the Panther levels. German tanks, but I really like the American boats, and I don't play much other. I have some American tanks, Soviet tanks, British tanks. I guess the one nation, and a little bit of Italian and French, but the one nation I really don't play is Japan. Hello, Arno. Yes, you're on the stream now. If you want some out of date, look at the CSA sub used Civil War. Yes, the Hunley, CSA Hunley, or whatever the initials were. That was not the first submarine. The first submarine was, I think it was called the Turtle, that was used by Americans against the British that tried to attach a keg of gunpowder basically to a British ship to blow it up. That was the first. During the Napoleonic Wars, the British had some experimentations with I don't know if any. I don't think any of them were submersible boats, but there were some special warfare, naval warfare stuff that the British were trying against Napoleon's fleets, and particularly against the thought to be invasion ports along France. You know, so they weren't trying to sink big British ships of the line. Big French ships of the line. The British could already do that quite effectively. They were trying to get in amongst the smaller invasion barges while they were still in port and destroy them there and then, and without having to do that. Yeah, no. Basically I'm done with Total War mod. So that is done with the Yugoslavian thing. I could revert, if you don't know, you can go in and there's a way to because there's already a beta patch out for this that I haven't downloaded yet. I hope it won't mess up. A lot of the beta patches are save game compatible. I don't know specifically on this one, but you can opt into the beta for the public beta testing. I want to say that you can opt into the public beta testing for the patch if you want to, but in the same mechanism that you opt in for the public beta, you can opt into older versions of the game, which would still allow us to go back and play the current Black Ice or play the current War Thunder. But I'm done with Total War. I don't see any good reason to go back. I plan on playing this British campaign here of just straight man the guns until either we're done with the campaign, or I guess in a way, or Black Ice or some other good mod comes out using the new features. And if it takes too long to do that, we'll jump into another country and play that. They had issues with fuel tanks, dangerous detonators, and propellers charged as black powder when launched. They would have a bright flash and gave away the boat's position at night. Interesting. I did not know that. Now, I've watched probably most of the World War II movies on that period, including John Wayne's movie. Watch most of John Wayne's movie, but They Were Expendable, which does cover that, but not in the detail that you're talking about. I'm not disbelieving it. I personally thought it was pretty great. I forgot the name of it, but it was a submarine-based game in 41, 43 either, and you're trying to win the seas for Germany. Yeah, that could be. There are some submarine games that I've heard of over the years. I've just never been, I guess, interested enough in submarines. I've watched submarine movies and they're fun to watch. To get in to try to play those type. It was Silent Hunter game. Yeah, I've heard of Silent Hunter, but I'm not sure if that was the one you're talking about. Okay, well, let's take a quick look here. Okay, we have some more factories. We are now building up those that were watching yesterday. No, more or less where we were. We're building up our Navy. We're in April 38, so we've got a while left before the war starts, but not endless amounts of time. I want to get to where I'm producing two destroyers production lines and 2 production lines of subs. That's sort of my goal. So let's do more shipyards. Oh, we'll put over here in Bristol. Okay, so that will get us going there. Okay, well, let's We have command power. So we want to do division recovery rate, because as we retreat in France, okay, we're going to, let's change you to another general that we might be able to cutting him maybe. Well, we'll try that. No, he doesn't allow that. I'm looking for someone that I can spend some of my command points on. Nope. Nope. Maybe a couple of these guys have. Oh, here we go. He probably does. Yes. Okay. Well, guerrilla fighter. Entrenchment speed. Okay, we'll do that. Yeah, I don't know what other traits we would develop. Be able to add to him. Send a few motorized and tank units to quickly take out Africa. That is actually a good idea. I think we will be doing that once we get some of them built. And on that note, let's look at our current stockpile. 600 tanks, 1,000 trucks. Okay, we have modest. I ran out of manpower in my earlier game, so let's start with one each here. And let's move him to a new divisional command. And God, I do still hate this green color, this turquoise. Never let art people deal with anything in your life. Tell them what colors you want. Nope, no synthetic refineries, JP. None at all. I'll cover that in a moment. That's why I'm now. Let's see. Who do we want to give armored officer? Neil Ritchie, inflexible strategist. Okay. What we're also going to do here is, we have a lot. We're going to come here. We're going to turn these cavalry into a tank unit, and we need 180 tanks. That's part of why, the reason they really don't need cavalry. And so we're going to convert that over to there, and we're going to convert this. They're turning in their horses for tanks. As you can see, it's not necessarily that good. Obviously, we're not going to need that equipment. They're just going to need the light tanks. So we're going to have 3 light tanks. Okay. With the current fuel system and Britain, let's come over here. We have, this is synthetic fuel path. We don't need this. It just really is not needed. We can increase our refining ability, which will increase actually the amount of oil get from refineries, which they're referring to, I do believe, synthetic refineries. But fuel gain per oil, per like barrel of oil is what I'm calling it, is 20% for that increase, and more and more and more for each one. Stock done. So that will be fuel storage. Now, this is our current fuel. We can build fuel silos. Maybe fuel tanks, but maybe that was people think confusing. But I've grown up around the oil industry, and I've never heard of a thing called a fuel silo. Now, maybe that's what you call them in Britain or some other place, but that is not in the American parlance. I know what a silo is, and I get what they mean, but that's not how we would use the term in the oil industry in America. So I'm staying entirely away from that. We have plenty of oil, and we're just going to risk shipping it in. Having it pumped out here is just not worth the production cost time. I think it's a bit more restrictive in the world for that, probably because it's focused on the Baltic and North Sea. Interesting. Okay. I've not heard of cold waters. So yeah, so we're gonna focus on that. We can at some point possibly secure the, and we go over to the resource map here. Secure Iraqi oil for ourselves. This prompted me to look into the details of Iraq a little bit more at this time period. Faisal dies in, I don't know, 33 or something. King Faisal. This guy is the current of the Hashemite kingdom, is the current Ghazi, and Iraq is technically independent right now in this time period. But there are British troops and British Air Force personnel that were controlling Iraq. So I would call, just because of what I do know, and they're right. They have the Golden Dawn or Golden Circle Party or whatever. I think it's Golden Circle, and that is referred to in some of the stuff we can see here. So I looked into this. Where are we? We're over Secure Iraq. Golden Square. Okay, it's Golden Square. Man, I was off. I knew it was Golden something. You know, if they get enough support and they're having a rebellion, we can come in, conquer focus. But really, they were a much more direct protectorate. So in my opinion, this oil should be in a similar case as, you know, Malaya, or, you know, and want to pick your you know, Dominion, colony, integrated puppet. Pick the one most appropriate and call it that, and that's what I would have Iraq as. We have abilities to, through decisions at some point here, to expand the Bergen oil field, Ras Al Ghurab, and I don't know where, Dukhan oil field. So we do have some oil field expansion, plus just straight up trading with the U.S. So we have that sort of capabilities. Okay, let's see. Nukes. Let's see. Use nuclear subs. Do the Iraqi leaders have spaghetti strainers on their heads? No, I don't know where you're getting that from, or what that's a reference to. Okay, let's start to make the episode. Got it. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4 Man the Guns DLC, just a straight game, so we're looking at the mechanics mostly. But I had been talking to the guys on the chat, and we were looking at this. This is a very well researched resource map. It's sort of done at the state level. I'm not going to say much more than that. I will. I know people who are doing some of the research, or have done research for this, but it is not accurate. But it is accurate as we have been able to humanly make it. I say we because you can look in the public chat. Bill Coors, some of his stuff that he's posted, actually mostly a long time ago, talking about oil resources and other things. So this is as good as we can get it, with all of the available research. Now, I had somebody from Brazil believe he's from Brazil, but Latin American. Talking about oil in Brazil that was discovered at this time period. Notice there's no oil on this map. And now he was talking about rubber. There is rubber here, obviously, and he was also talking about maybe in here Minas Gerais, and oh yes, lots of steel and whatever, and you know, used a ton of rubber term. Okay, a ton of rubber is not useful to us. Okay, cool. Didn't know that about Bulgaria. Rose oil. But there, if you want to contact me on the Paradox forum, that is gamer_1745 over there. If you have period resources, a period map, it was a photograph of an actual period map that has where oil fields are, or sometimes they're infographics, maps with other information that talks about how much oil a year, a month, or whatever was pulled out of a particular region, or if you have period statistics, that you can photograph the, digitally, the documents from the period, hard period evidence of anywhere in the world resources being extracted, either going on right around, because if they found a bunch of stuff in 1910, a mine may be played out, so they Bolivia, so many tons of iron ore in 1910 doesn't mean that they're still pumping out at a similar rate in 1936. So something close to the time period, what was happening, and then what happened and developed, because as we can see here, you have expand rubber plantations in Nigeria, develop tungsten deposits, and there are some of these things for other countries as well. So and the U.S. definitely helped with expanding rubber and other resources in the Americas during this period, because most all of the rubber and whatnot came from this area of the world. So there had been not heavy reasons to go out of their way. So to do this. So if it's a resource and you know about it and you have good evidence of actual period, because it's one thing if it's all in the ground. That could be enough to have an event to exploit it, but sometimes it may be all in the ground and it's up in the Andes Mountains, very hard to get to, that there's hardly any roads, or out in the jungle somewhere, that you don't just like, oh, we're building a mine here. No, you've got to build roads and build infrastructure, and that could take months or years to develop. So the mere fact that they may have known of a deposit that then later, like we can see here in Libya, which produces lots of oil to this day, in this time period, they were exploring for oil, but they had not found any. There was actually, and this was Tommy Lotto found some of this stuff for Hearts of Iron 3, and some of the early expeditions to drill for oil, see about the Italians if there was a possibility in North Africa, and basically they didn't find any. So he created for his mod some nice events that has a random chance of possibly adding oil resources, that you have to spend a lot of resource, ICs to get that, with only a possibility of getting a return on it. So it's a crapshoot. Whether you want to go about it to get Italians to have more oil, and more than likely they're not going to find it, but it's possible that they find it. And there was talk at the time, the mere fact that if they had found it in 1940, how long does it take to get an oil field up and running, to pumping out oil, to then getting it, system to getting it out, and whether ships to Europe to a refinery, or build a refinery local, how long to get gasoline, how long does that take? It's not like, oop, it happens 30 days later. And especially if you don't have a like America had pre-set up abilities to build refineries. If you've never built an oil refinery in your country before, you may not have the expertise, knowledge to just start, this is what you need to do to build an oil refinery. We've done it before. Not that it's like secret information. It's just, do we have people experienced at doing it? And so you have to look at all that. So if you want to contribute to Hearts of Iron, or to possibly, if you, because you post the stuff quite publicly in the Hearts of Iron forum, modders can come in and will come into this and add stuff to the game. I know the Black Ice people would be very happy to add things like this, so long as they have good evidence and try to do it historically. Oh, you retracted it. Right. In 38, and they had been looking for it. I know there is 3 points of, or whatever these, three resource available of oil, and I don't know how accurate that is. I know in Hearts of Iron 3 there's more oil in Saudi Arabia, but I do know that they were just sort of exploring it. I do know that there were significant oil fields discovered in Iran at this time, and one of the big reasons that Britain wanted to control this part of the former Ottoman Empire and give France this part was the known oil reserves in Britain because of its fleet, and knowing that they were moving from a coal burning shipping, and military naval shipping to an oil building. They wanted to secure access to oil, blood for oil, kind of things as the modern people. Yes, the British wanted to make sure they had access. Doesn't mean they weren't going to pay, British pounds to somebody, in Iraq for the privilege of getting the oil, but they wanted to make sure it was in their political control and wouldn't be, an embargo, either locally, Iraq, or if they were going to go to war with the French again, the French, just a trade war or something, the French couldn't embargo oil to the British. Oh, yes. That someone who posted, I don't know if you looked at the video, who posted, they talked about in 1500 they were mining steel. Yeah, no, steel's a production, not a is a product, not a mineral or resource. Absolutely. Okay, 1940. Now, so this is maybe a little bit early. Yeah. What can I say? That isn't too big of a thing. And is that one of the ones that we could develop? No. Oh, see, it's highlighting right here when I go over that. That's cool. And here, so we can. Oh, this is cool. I actually hadn't known that that would actually highlight the area on the map. Probably because when I had gone over this, I hadn't been looking at the right area of the map, so that we can see where this can be developed. And presumably because we don't control Saudi Arabia, if there is a developmental thing. Hello, Jonathan. Good to see you. Nice to have you here. So trying no, I haven't, Ari. Thank you for it. I just really haven't got to it yet. Busy with all the other things I've got to get done, but I will be at some point. It looks good. Okay, so let's get the clock rolling. So just if you have any desire to contribute to Hearts of Iron 4 or to the modders, you very well may. Of course, simply putting it, either getting the information to me or publishing it in the public forum doesn't mean that it's going to be in. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be in fast. Okay, firefighting drills for our ships. Let's come down here. Okay, that gets that. Well, let's 1938. Yes, I'm loving the Man of the Guns. It doesn't solve all of, because I have played, not in this series yet, I have played up until the Battle of France, and France was lost. They don't seem to have substantially improved the combat AI. So we still have the problems that, in my opinion, are still significant with that. But it's nice improvements here for these doctrines, again, I want to bring up, is that if we had a bunch of stored up Army experience or Navy experience, we could spend, if you have 100 of it, you could spend 100 to boost the doctrine research rate. I really like that touch. Still madly exercising my army, which, in my opinion, this is, and obviously we're going way beyond the experience level, is not worth it for the cost of the equipment, for the benefit, but it is giving us the benefit of army experience, and that because our order of battle in this game starts out so sucky. Okay, Asush. You can see here we've added these two already, and that. So it would have been very sucky if we didn't have that. So there's a lot of improvements. I have not been playing with these, you know, naval invasions yet, but these things, and I don't use, partially just because I like to micromanage, quite admittedly, and there's people who don't like to micromanage, I understand that, but like to micromanage the combat. But whenever I've done combat plans, they never seem to follow what I'm in, wanting them to do. Okay. I think because, well, I have to look at what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next? Okay, 38, we're doing a little bit of small arms. 39, 40 small arms. Artillery, 39, 40. Okay. Aircraft, 1940. So we don't, meaning, so I don't, because I don't know if I'm going to pursue heavy fighters anytime soon. So I don't need to have a thing that improves research on fighters until then. So, shipping we already have. So I'm looking at, you know, we have to do a new research technology. What to do? Tank designers, Vickers Armstrong, armor reliability, self-attack. It'll be a while before we do too much of that. So, no, let's, because we are going to face division attack, division speed, division defense. We're going to start putting, we're going to get Ironsides as head of our army. Main goal, it is both a, I've been doing it, I did a test run before this, like I say, get to the Battle of France to sort of know what I was doing. So I have an idea of what I'm talking about. We're going to play a primary naval campaign. I will help, and you'll see what I will try to do. It won't keep France from falling, but we're going to try to help France as long as we can and try to extract the British forces from France successfully. Okay, we are going to lay sea mines, but still lay mines everywhere we can. We're going to, as I say, lay so many mines on the English Channel and other places. You'll see where I try to do it, that you could walk across the channel, though of course you can't walk on mines, even if you know, even more than figuratively. But yeah, we're going to do mine warfare, and we're going to kind of try to constrain them. That's in the Mediterranean too. And so we're looking at testing out naval stuff, and we're going to also similarly, once we get near to war with Japan, we're going to be doing that. So it's going to sort of be a historical type idea here. So, but that in any nation, well, right now I can't really. I think I have sent no, they wouldn't let me send. I tried to send an attaché, but they wouldn't let me, even when I had the political power. So there's nowhere I can, well, I don't have the political power, but would China let me? No. That looks like it would be a negative even if I could too. So there's not really any place for me to intervene at the moment. I'm not going to be doing these sort of crazy, let's see who we can invade, just to grab up some territory that's unhistorical and unrealistic and wouldn't have happened in real life. So we can see Japan is doing fairly well. I think we're going to abandon Hong Kong at a suitable point. Yeah, there is a fortify Hong Kong and stuff, but I think we'll just, at a suitable point, we'll come down and try to hold Singapore. And we're letting the clock roll pretty fast. I'll have to see as soon as I do this, it needs me to pause, but this is going all right. Yep, just like it's happening. Okay. Naval rearmament, very good. And Yugoslavian fighter competition. Yugoslavian Air Force is currently holding trials for a new light fighter. According to our air attaché, our newest model is poised to win a formal request from Yugoslavian government. Absolutely. Air experience completed. Licensed production of the Hawker Hurricane to Yugoslavia. Yep, we'll do that. Get us some more air experience. Okay, so we've expanded our was more than that. Naval warfare. Now we're going to come up to air defense. That going. And now we will see if we come out here. Many more factories, but we're going to build, or shipyards. We're going to build even more. Let's see. Let's. Oh, can't yet. 20 over there. Okay. Well, out in Wales would be all right. Hey, Django, good to see you. I hope you will try and hold Norway. We will see what we can do with Norway. If you want PP, you should wait 10 days, only then start new focus. Yes, it would help out, assuredly. But I want to get to radar very fast because I want to start researching it with the bonuses. So I don't need it. Like it, but don't, critically need it at the moment. I'm going to slow this down a little bit. So world tensions actually just dropped a little bit. But I'm loving all this naval stuff. It's going good. Plan R4. Don't know what's that referring to, quite honestly. You can see we have Philip Carr. Okay, the Penne incident. American-British gunboats were attacked by Japanese aircraft in separate actions today while evacuating Western civilians from the front line in the war between Japan and China. Despite being clearly marked as American vessels, the USS Penne was hit by 2 bombs and sunk, with 3 American and 1 Italian citizen killed and others wounded in separate attack. HMS Lady Bird, one British sailor, was killed. Both American and British governments have issued strong protests. The incidents highlight increasing tensions between the 3 foremost naval powers. Now, my understanding of this incident, I do believe those were Army aircraft. I don't know that for a fact, so don't take that as anything sure. The Japanese government eventually pays some indemnities over this, and this was definitely not part of the Tokyo government's plan. But I do believe the local, regional, whatever you want to call it, military commanders in China, Japanese military commanders in China, knew full well and approved the attack. The Japanese government in Tokyo had long since lost control of the military in China. So this was not an accident. This was not a mistaken identity. This was arrogance on the Japanese part, and was a clear political move to push Europeans out of China. So yeah, everything okay. Improved equipment, great. Well, as a suggestion, I would place some infantry with artillery and AA in Singapore. They should be able to hold that line almost indefinitely. Best would be to hold Denmark. That would, but that's impossible. Yeah, I can't hold Denmark. Couldn't get troops there fast enough, I don't think. That would hold the Germans from taking the Danish islands. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try. I don't know about. I haven't tested trying to hold out from Japan. I hear you, JP. I don't know if you have in-game evidence for that or not. You know, somebody's done it. Where is it here? Okay, it's over here. There is. Looking for it. Looking. The colonies. Mediterranean, somewhere. Fortify the Rock, fortify Malta. Somewhere. I know, I saw it. I know. Imperial integrity. Air defense. Oh, war. Okay. Singapore strategy. Okay, fortify Asia. Hold Hong Kong. Get some coastal forts. I don't know that would be enough to do it. Yeah, you're thinking logically. Remember, this is Hearts of Iron. It doesn't always hold. But I'm land, and so we'd have to get through fortify Asia. Get through hold Hong Kong, and the coastal forts won't do us anything, I don't think, to defend against air attack. Landward fortifications, that would help. That with the AA might very well hold it. But the question, would we rather go down Singapore strategy, landward fortifications for Singapore, and Peninsula War, which to me that's the war in Spain during the Napoleonics, but pursue this, and that's where I'm, if I'm going to go, that's where I want to pursue it. Netherlands can easily hold. I think that there are 4 or 5 problems. No, I don't think they can be held, unless you're talking about the Dutch method of simply hiding your country underwater. And yeah, I'm going to keep teasing you about that, but no, I don't think so. Not on a long-term basis. And there are people have commented about, well, there are Danish forts in World War II, blah 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 blah. You know, some of my rants over. I'm not saying you guys here on chat now. Total War fort spam, and there are some forts right in here. I believe that they're already there right now. We just don't see them because can't see them. But, and I'm pretty sure do both. Yeah, do both. Let's do everything. IKB. Yeah. But Arno will back me up on this, that there were no basic forts along the border of any significant amounts with Germany. Oh, we have that. Okay, so we've got 38. We are pushing. Okay, well, we could do this for a 150% bonus. What is that from? Bonus from? Oh, that is if we want to use up these. I don't know that we want to use up our naval experience on this. Yeah, I hear you, but I don't know that I can get there and do that as a practical matter. Okay, we've got that, That's all looking good. Yeah, let's just pursue this for the moment. Make sure we have that. Hey, Duncan, good to see you. Duncan the Barbarian. Okay, yeah, great. Well, that's what was posted on this was the first. There's 2 more episodes between what you're seeing now and what was shown, so we're a little bit further ahead in 38. But yep, it's the same series. No, I think the earlier ones were some airborne invasions in Norway that predate the Dutch airborne operations, fall of Nanjing. So that predates that by a little bit for airborne operations. The glider operations were also in there as airborne, getting Eben Amal particularly. That's at least how I pronounce the fort. Eben Abel. I've heard several other pronunciations. Yeah, Norway first, then Benelux for German paratroopers. And glider-borne forces, those are also airborne, of course, too. So I don't know if those glider, probably those glider troops were airborne, parachute qualified. I don't know for a fact, but they were part of the Luftwaffe airborne division, so I presume they weren't army troops. So. Yes, the 9th Panzer Division went in there. Okay, well. Let's see here. We could. Yeah, let's just regular. We're not going to speed research because I want this Navy experience to build modifications to my ships. Did a bad job in Crete. I mean, they took it and they did pretty well. I always think of myself that that was the largest. Well, I would say Crete was such a bad job that the Germans never did another operational parachute job again. They got slaughtered, and it was only a close run thing and British mess ups that allowed them to win. Yeah, no, Crete didn't work out well. I'm sorry, I just Crete was just not. Now you do understand, JP. There was some various airborne, including the idea of flying troops after they quickly secured the airport in Oslo, flying in more troops via planes into Norway, and they did some parachute landings to secure the airbornes there, and they also parachuted in more airborne personnel after they had already had the Narvik landings, but just as reinforcements. That all happens literally days before what's happening down here, and that at least the battle around Trondheim, because the British invade or counter invade or whatever here is actually, this was where their main invasion was. We always think of the Narvik events up here, but they're also up in here, sort of in Narvik, and they really wanted to come into Trondheim and move in and hold, or push the Germans out of Norway. That is all still going on while they're starting this invasion. So this is all just really sort of overlapping, and so it's within days. It's it's not the same troops. They hadn't been able to recover and do more operations. And of course this is so bad here that Sussman dies in the attack when his airplane crashes into the sea. Yeah, it's a real mess. I'm sorry if you think it's just luck. And basically the first day the Germans are beaten. Germans are defeated the first day, and it's only the British going, oh hell, we're being invaded. And the British situation, there were some Greek units that had literally zero ammunition for their guns, and the British couldn't do anything about it because the British didn't have any ammunition for the Greek guns because they were different caliber. There just wasn't the ammunition on the island for some of the Greek units, and there were lots of British units that had barely any ammunition, and the communications were so the British, after the first day is sort of done, and that night the Germans are just about done in, the British decide to withdraw from some of the airfields, if I remember correctly, and it's only in that point that in the morning the Germans are able to do some light attacks, secure some airfields that then allow flying in more troops. The British sink one of the main troop ships, transports, whatever, that kill hundreds of German soldiers in that. And so it's a real mess. It's a real mess. The Germans succeed, yes, but it's a real mess. Ever seen footage of the Soviet paratroopers sitting on wing? Yes, that was some of the early pre-war experimentations, and people didn't know what parachuting, as in a military sense, was going to be. So yeah, they got, because part of the concept with parachutists is that if everybody say stands in the aircraft and jumps out one at a time, you're going to spread your troops out over a longer distance. But if you all sort of go off all at once, and you'll have a spread, you'll naturally spread because it's not all at the exact same time. You'll have them down in a clump, and so I've seen the parachute drop that you're talking about, Duncan, and I don't know if on that Soviet model of aircraft how quickly they thought they could get the guys out of the door. So you have to go almost, those who have better parachute training than me, it's not quite running and jumping out the door, but it's a fast shuffle, fast get out, and you need to do it, and you can't go, somebody's parachute rig or something is hooked up, and we got to hold on, just take 30 seconds to unhook something, to check something. No, you got to keep going, keep flowing to get all those guys out of the door as with a space, of like a 3 count or something like that. But it's all very quick, but while that's all happening, you're getting the next guy ready to go. And so, yeah, early on, the Soviets, they don't, no one's like written the manual yet. They're experimenting to write the manual. So that is not, in theory, in practice, it's a bad idea of trying to get everybody hanging on to the wing as you're flying. But in theory of like, well, how do we get all these guys off and down on the target in a coherent unit? It's not a bad idea to see, like, well, can we do this? What's going to happen? So that works. Remember, it was said the only reason the Germans won at Crete was because the British and the Greeks lost. Yeah, that's sort of the thing. But can you say it was as bad as Market Garden is my point. Okay, Market Garden and the movie and the book, A Bridge Too Far. Okay, what does that say? The first 2 of the 3 were complete successes. It was the third, and we could talk about the bad radios. We can talk about that the British, more so than the Germans, jumped right into unknown resting Waffen-SS units that were reorganizing. And we can talk about that some, I think, I'm trying to remember from the movies. I haven't read the book or I've watched some documentaries, but the movies are clearest. Some of the parachute landings were much further from the bridge than intended, and they weren't able to immediately get to the bridge. And there was problems getting American units up there because they didn't quite secure everything. And so, and they were moving the relief forces to get up to the British up one basic road. So not only do you have whatever German resistance you might have to American movement up along the road, you also have actually British, I think it was mostly British armor unit coming up, if I'm not mistaken. Is you have just the traffic jam element of moving troops up that limited thing, that you couldn't get up there as fast as planned. So there's just a lot of stuff. And there was a later post-Market Garden, there was a large, my understanding, at least from the American side, because I don't know if it included any British, from the American side, I think there was a larger parachute drop, and I'm forgetting the name right now, across the Rhine, somewhere in Germany after Market Garden, that gets very little play, that went very well actually, but it wasn't unnecessary, but it wasn't such a vital thing either. Kind of jumps nowadays, statics are basically a line of guys with chutes tight, yeah, but yeah, but it's also just the idea of literally the door on the aircraft is partially what I'm thinking about, JP, is what, and like I say, I've seen the photos of the guys out on the wing, but does that model of Soviet aircraft have a door that is easy to step out of? If not with a something you have to step up and over with a parachute, you know what I'm talking about. It's not necessarily something that the whole aircraft and the interior of the aircraft may be sort of more bomber-like, or something that it's not easy to move people rapidly down the center of the aircraft to go out of the aircraft. And so I don't know the specific model type, and it very well may be a transport airplane, sort of passenger type, but even that doesn't mean that they have bench seatings to everybody stand up quickly and move in sort of a conventional Operation Varsity. Thank you. Armored divisions. The armored division, I believe, is with British, the Polish and Dutch troopers, right? And so, okay, early strategic bomber, and so you can imagine a strategic bomber has internal volume, partially just because of aerodynamic thing, but that doesn't mean that it's set up to rapidly move troops out the door. That's my point. Not so much that it's they don't have the idea of if they even had the idea of literally a static line yet, but just that whole, everything's a system. A tank is a system. An aircraft dropping paratroopers is a system. You have to, where are the paratroopers going to sit, and once they're going to sit, how are they going to, get hooked up to a static line, and how are they going to, how is the pilot going to, who's looking out ahead and knowing what they're approaching, the drop zone, how are they going to signal the people that get ready and then when to start going? That all has to be worked out, and that all has to flow. Hello, Dozed, or Optimistic Knowledge, if I remember correctly. When was it? Extremely slow. Yeah, TB3 or whatever. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, we need to do national focus. Okay, which is radar. That was the goal. And free civilian factories. We want more naval yards, shipyards. Yeah, I'm remembering. And we can modify. Oh, we need to be able to deploy. We need to. Okay, set location. Yeah, we'll set them sort of here. And we deploy. Now. This always sort of bothers me. Oh, I want to come here. Okay, we have that currently, Sten guns, and maybe some of that would be affected versus these, and then these in 40. So I think we're going to do artillery next. Or do artillery. We do research speed. Have you ever thought about doing... I have thought about it, Ari. Just haven't done it, and this has come out. That was actually something I was going to think about once I was done with the Total War, but we're out with this. During the 30s and later, during the war, they had the PE-8, I believe. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Soviet aircraft models well. I'm looking forward to seeing what B-Ice will do with these. Oh, yeah. Well, see, and this is one thing I want to state to you viewers now and viewers in the future. I have very little concern, very little care about, well, let's come here, these sets of stats. You know, 5% better attack because of this ammo. Or the stats on these tanks. Because whether I agree with these or not, and whether I agree with the... when we come to let's go with tanks. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I keep doing that. I don't like that part of the interface. What I mean to do is click here. Whether, you know, this is a good set of stats or this, I don't really care about this, because I know that whether it's Black Ice or somebody else is going to do work on it, and I hope, now I know more about tanks than I do aircraft, like I just said a moment ago, so I may judge that more critically because I know more about it. So that it's the mechanics that I love, that the modders and everybody else can play around. So I'm not saying they're wrong with their stats at all. But when people start around and this happens periodically and definitely happens right after release of Hearts of Iron, oh, this stats or these stats here or there or something, I don't care, because we'll get in and tweak them. It's the mechanics, the detailed mechanics that I love to have and be able to do. All the Black Ice add events to other historical ships, the same that they do with Divisions. Yes, I hope so. What good do they open up for modability? Yeah, modders, yes. And so, yeah, modders can't make new. And so I haven't really looked into modding any, I'm going to do signal companies, into modding any of these new stuff at all. But mechanics. Now, one thing I'll say this, and I really haven't looked too deeply into it, and we haven't done this. I like and don't like this. We're gonna do James Somerville. This is, and we can talk. Well, hold it. We're gonna end this episode, not this live stream, people. We're gonna be continuing that in a moment, but come back next time for when we talk fleet organizations. And so I hope you will be of interest and to hear my thoughts and to hear my understanding of the current situation. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, please like the videos, please subscribe, please comment, and you may see some video suggestions popping up on your screen. Please click one of those, or on the side, recommended videos in YouTube. Please click one of those of mine, and that tells YouTube, you don't have to watch too much of it, watch a few seconds, tells YouTube's algorithms that this is good content, and it'll start recommending it more to other people. So I'd really appreciate it if you would do that when you get to the end of the video, even if it's something you've seen before. And that's actually good, because YouTube algorithm likes videos that you go back and watch more than once. So I do appreciate it if you would do that. Thanks so much. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron, more of the Naval Edition. Okay, hold on just a second. I'm going to turn my heater off. And we'll do that, I think, because I'm thinking what I'm going to be saying here in a moment. We'll do that for the start of the next record stream. Light guns seem to be worthless once you reach secondaries, unless I'm missing. I don't know. So the game was played earlier. The naval treaties just disappeared, so I built Monster Super. Yeah, that. I still prefer having dual-purpose guns than single-purpose light batteries. Yeah, no, dual-purpose guns. I'm a big fan of the Fletcher destroyers for their time, and their capabilities were pretty damn good. I know by the end of the war, the U.S. was coming out with even better destroyers, but the Fletchers are sort of my favorite World War II destroyers, and one of the best, especially if you look at for how long they served in the war. In my opinion, they're the best destroyers that had long service life. No, didn't fall. I set it aside and didn't catch the cord. I hope that's a good moment in Slytherin history that people will remember, and I do mean it that way, because hope it's good television, as they say. Okay, we're going to start the episode, and I want to talk about that. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals, and we're going to be talking about some of the naval organization and command in just a moment. But before then, a bit of a plug. Saturday mornings my time, 7 a.m., and you can go to my Twitch channel, and gamer_1745 over there, and you'll see now a countdown timer clock that will give the local time of when the stream is scheduled to start. And at the same time on Sundays, I will try to be doing at least a live stream on YouTube, which you're seeing the recording from the live stream here. Of course, if you want to catch the full live stream, it is also up on YouTube with the chat on the side. So you know a little better what's being talked about. You can watch it there. But today I was about 15 minutes or so late because sort of the interesting story that I'm telling you is mostly for the viewers now, but you get to hear it too. This is Sunday morning. Saturday night about 8 p.m. My home lost power, and I look out. Yep, the whole neighborhood's without power. And I go out, and after a while, after about half an hour, decide to go to the grocery store. Was thinking of going anyways. But thought, well, might as well go out, and maybe by the time I get back, they'll have the power back on. Because sometimes power's back on in a minute or two, literally, and other times it may be half an hour, an hour. Well, I happen to see a truck driving down the alley of my street. It's a power company truck, and they have like a searchlight up looking at the power lines as they're slowly driving down the alley. So he stops, and I sort of see where he's looking, and I could see that there's a problem up there. On the telephone pole, a crossbar, wooden crossbar. There, one half of it is sort of dangling about 4 or 5 feet down from the other half of it, and it looks like a transformer, or whatever you call the barrel-like thing up there. It looks like it sort of slid down about 3-4 feet from it. So, yep, there's a problem. And so I talked to the guy, and he says, well, how long is it going to take to fix? Well, not too long. Okay, and what does that mean? An hour or so? Oh, no, it's going to be longer than that. It's going to be a few hours once the crew gets here. This guy in the truck has a bucket lifter thing that could get him up to the power lines correctly, but I can well imagine that his repair does not include carrying it with him a new crossbar piece and other things up there to do that appropriately. So and I go, well, I do have a live stream on YouTube at 7 a.m. scheduled, and I hope to make it, and all that. And so he doesn't know. So, and of course, that. So I go away, and so I spend the night. Basically, I got some flashlights and little battery-powered lanterns here, but without power, and finally get to sleep. And then, right about 6 a.m., on comes my television, because I hadn't turned it off. It was just on when the power went out. So that wakes me up. So I was a little late getting started. Just sort of an interesting story from life of a YouTuber, live streamer, that things go wrong, and just Arno was mentioning the blooper I did on Slytherin's channel, which I'm now regularly, continually going to be streaming also for Slitherine. Currently, it seems to be Thursdays at 11 a.m., but I don't know what it'll be this coming week or whenever it is you may be watching this after. This is where I tripped. Well, I didn't trip, but my foot caught the keyboard cable that made the keyboard go to the floor, and that sort of unplugged a cable that connected one of my monitors, and because of that happened, the keyboard landed face down, and for some reason the key hit made the stop recording the visual image, so I was still broadcasting sound, so I had to restart things. So that was a bit of a blooper, but yeah, live TV. So please join me sometime, whether on Slytherine's channel or on, and I'll guarantee you something on Slitherine you would like. Strategic Command is a very good game. You may not want to play that, but there's other things that something there at some point you would like to play. Okay, get to the point that we were going to start this talking about is the new command structure for the Navy. This is, and I haven't dug into all of the details, but so this is currently under James, what is it, Somerville, Fleet Command, and you can see all of the ships under the different task forces. So now he's not just in command of a fleet. He's in command of a fleet that has task forces, and this I really like. And so that you can set up to have different task forces. You can select just this task force and send it on missions, including back in naval exercises we can do now, which will burn fuel. And again, like we can see here, again, fuel, if you didn't catch the first episode where we cover this, current consumption is 0, but I do like that it says max consumption if we have everything being completely active, or just the Army, Air, and Navy active. And so you can better understanding that max consumption versus up near the top, daily gain. And notice there's a whole lot more consumption potential than the daily gain. So if we start doing everything, flying all of our aircraft, sailing all of our ships, and driving all of our vehicles and tanks around, we're going to and we have current of their current fuel reserves at the top line of that. We're going to draw down quickly all of our fuel, very quickly potentially. So somebody like Germany, that becomes a very serious thing. We can just start trading for more oil from America or other places, so that is not such the needing for a stockpiles. Okay, so we have this. What I don't like about this so far, and there isn't, that I wish, and we were talking earlier about modding, is I would like to be able to, like we can with the Army, have a bit of a hierarchy in which I could put a, and I've looked for it, and I don't know, and yes, I have played, and the ability to assign a specific submarine commander to this task force. Or if we come back up, as we can see his different task forces here as we click across here in a red, I guess this is supposed to be a trident, and so he has a lot of, actually too many for his proper command capabilities, but I wish we could have each one of those have, just because I like the immersion, and I know some viewers that's just too much to manage. But so these are all of the fleet commands, and we can see currently so Far East, and we might as well see about blockade runner, naval lineage, aviation enthusiast. Yeah, we'll give Bruce Fraser the Far East, and so we can see here he has 29 ships all told, and these are the task forces. So they've really done a really good job. So you're no longer, I guess you could, but you're no longer, and when they sort of pop out, once we have things on auto, they're just all popping out here under the, United Kingdom Fleet 1. So they got light cruisers and destroyers and submarines. So that's unorganized, of course, but it is a thing. we'll temporarily give John Cunningham, which I don't know much about that command, but North and South America Station, Bold Old Guard, and we'll give it to Harwood, and the Mediterranean. So these numbers of 2, it isn't 2 ships, it's 2 task forces or flotillas or whatever you want to call it under that. And we'll give that to Cunningham. Looks like you'd be a good career off bold gunnery expert. Yeah. So we have these, so we can specify areas of operation, types of roles. So, and what is important with this is that I could send out my submarine flotilla to say out here in patrol, and which we also have new. We used to have I forget. A sort of patrol and a a wide area and a concentrated patrol. Those were the two versions that they were really proud of. I never really got why, and I always wanted to have concentrated forces. But we now can do a sort of getting out and patrolling, and that is one sort of tactic, and it's going to go over the area specified. It can be multiple sea areas. I like that. So meaning he could patrol all of the Mediterranean if I wanted him to. Or I can concentrate in just one sea zone. Or I can do strike force, which if you look at this, order the task force to wait at the closest naval base until an enemy task force is spotted. Once the enemy is spotted, the strike force will move to that location and will attack the enemy forces. This is very, very, very important here. As said before, I don't know if it's smart or lack of ability. Talking about EOD, ordnance or disposal. Groups blowing things up, blowing bombs up. Yeah, how smart that is. I salute your bravery, JP. Salute your bravery. I don't know that I would want to do that job either. I like to micromanage things, but in a game scale, theoretically you could by having the clock move super slow and constantly pausing it and looking everywhere. But there are things I don't like to micromanage, like the air. I like the idea that I sort of set up the air and have the air war run according to my, like, are we going to put fighters up over Britain, or are we going to, or are we going to put fighters out over the Channel or some such thing? Set that up and let it run. So this allows us to, as I'm sure you've already guessed, is that we could put this out as a strike force here, or somebody like Italy who has limited amounts of fuel, somewhere in Toronto, which is, I know Calabria, but Toronto. Here they finally got that base. This one's based in the right space. Could put that out here, have their fleet all sitting here, and then have this area specified. This sea zone is as a strike force, and so when they see a British fleet come through here, worthy, outdashes the Italian fleet to engage it, has its battle. If you're playing the Italians, you hope you win, of course. But when the battle is done, it goes back and no longer burns fuel. So that is a really, really, yeah. And Andrew Cunningham was the first fleet admiral for the Mediterranean during. I believe that was the case. I wasn't sure enough to start stating that, Duncan, but that's sort of why I put him there. And so the strike force mechanic here is very good for nations. So somebody like Germany, because I often play Germany, I would not want to have my Navy on strike force out here into the North Sea or somewhere, or anywhere out here, because I don't trust the AI to go, oh yeah, there's the enemy fleet. Let's send out our 2 battleships and some battle cruisers and a few destroyers. Oh yeah, we're sending them out against a huge task force, or with a bunch of carriers and a bunch of battleships, and it's just not to make make a bad judgment. Send it out after a very big enemy fleet. But I could very well see doing that for Germany in, say, the Baltic. so that they're sitting in port, whether in Danzig or somewhere else here, and they spot the Soviet fleet out doing its mischief. Out they go, because I'm going to presume that my Kriegsmarine is going to defeat the Soviet flotillas. And so that is a very good tactic. But if I want to get out there, now of course we can also do convoy raiding, which surface fleets, we'll select this, we can still do convoy raiding. A surface task force can be a single ship, Prinz Eugen, or Bismarck, or Graf Spee, can be set up as a task force, and as a complete fleet too, if you want. Out there and put it out at convoy raiding, like submarines, and go after convoys. Or we can do convoy escort, which will obviously protect the convoy things. Laying mines and clearing mines. We're going to get to that. We're going to be laying lots and lots of mines coming up in this series. But you can only start laying mines once you're at war. They had a lot of discussion on this. And just when is it appropriate to lay mines? Mines, again, my understanding, I don't pay attention to all the details of naval stuff. I know I'm explaining naval stuff now. But mines, my understanding is mines will not affect friendly ships. So if I say spam a huge amounts of mines all around the central Mediterranean trying to protect Malta, my British ships and convoys will move through without any problem, because presumably these aren't random floating mines that are just, get any ship. They're laid in minefields that are chartable, and so we know where we put our own minefields. So they don't affect us. I also think just because of the mechanics of the game, they don't affect neutrals. I think. I don't know. I presume so. So if I go... So I can't start now and just spam mines all over Italy, knowing, forewarned that I know I'm going to go to war with them. So it's only in peacetime, but if I spam mines around Italy, neutral Yugoslavia can still trade or send its ships, in the Adriatic or somewhere else without hitting my mines that are targeting the Axis. Also, we know instead of trying to dominate naval zones to allow sea invasions, we can now escort sea invasions. And so they will follow along with the troops. My understanding, and I have not, and we will see about this if this comes, is that if you put, whether it's a patrol or a strike force, they will come out and engage and block troop transports if the naval invasion happens. So if you have 2 destroyers and they go out to engage the naval invasion, they very well may win if it's not escorted. But if you've got 2 destroyers and they've got 10 battleships, they're going to destroy your destroyers and come in and successfully invade. So you can patrol if you want to patrol, or you can, set up to a, a strike force to deal with invasion fleets. So you could, as Germany, and especially if modders make like motor torpedo boats, set them here, which would have the range of, 1 sea zone, that could dash out to any Allied invasion. Now, again, if it's a big, huge invasion, they very well may get sunk. But you have that escort support for invasion. So I think that's all of what we need to know on naval mission types. And again, so that you can split your fleet up, you could decide to keep your big battleships operating as a strike force. You could separate out some, say, your destroyers and put them out patrolling or convoy escorting or something like that. But you can just have them patrol, which will find enemy subs in the area that you may be running convoys in that area as well, or doing something like that, while keeping your big battleships use up lots of fuel. That was a big concern for Italy and Japan. I know moving the battleships around was a very, very big concern for fuel for Japan in my recent readings. So if you want to keep those vessels in port until the critical moment, you very well can do it while using lighter forces out dashing about, and then of course setting up with your other out convoy raiding, say further into the central Mediterranean, just giving you a description. So that's what we're going to be looking at and doing and experimenting with our naval campaign. Doesn't mean, as if longtime viewers know, I'm a ground warfare focused player. So we're definitely going to be doing that, but that is not the central point of what this campaign is going to be about. I built 615 of those mine cruisers. You start with the UK, and they did a great job. And most of the no, they do good. But what I did build out a few of those. Built out a few of those, but I've switched to, and I set up a mine sweeping hull set up for, and a mine laying hull set up for a destroyer, so they're much cheaper to do a lot more. 4th International, and so they're going to be set up sweepers, and we're setting up a lot of sweepers and a lot of mine layers to spam them out, as well as mine laying submarines. Oh, and you can also lay mines from ships, though I have not actually done that yet, though we will be doing that by the time we are at war. Okay, France wants to join the Allies. Yes, we'll take you on as allies. Okay, we can now start our second production line of submarines. And just for your info, gotta remember to click in the right place. This is what I have done. They still have the forward set of torpedo tubes here, so this can't, I guess, which makes sense, handle mines, but the rear set of torpedo tubes is set up, set of torpedoes, or rear set of weapons racks, set up as mine laying. So they're going to go out and lay mines. So we've done that. Okay, we are at risk. Another country. Oh yeah, we are currently the faction leader of the Allies, but it is possible that somebody else can assume faction leadership, say like the Americans. Why are you building Toad AA? Hungary joins the Axis. Because it will reinforce my ground troops. Infantry division. Anti-aircraft. Soft attack plus 1.8. Hard attack plus 4.2. Defense plus 2.3. That is very useful. We also have anti-tank, which is also useful, but we're doing both of those. We also add reconnaissance fairly soon. Can we do that now? Nope, gotta get to 10. So yeah, that's why we're building AA. Not so much to deal with aircraft, more just as reinforcement for ground units. Yes, you can do subs, and you can also airdroppable mines. We can see, just the reason I haven't done it is, oh, it's over in mine laying technology. It's somewhere here. No, where is somewhere there's airdrop mines, I think, or something. Oh, here. Here, right here. That's where I just aerial mine laying. I just hadn't researched is what the reason why I haven't done it yet. I haven't played long enough. Obviously, it's way too early to do that now. But you can get to set up to airdrop mines from naval bombers, tactical bombers, and strategic bombers. You can see their effectiveness at mine laying. Yeah, well, we've got artillery, and I want to stick another thing of artillery on. We're working it out. You're not wrong, Django. I'm just doing some support elements that way, and there are good arguments for doing it here as well, but if you do notice here, add this, you know, we can and we will be doing some of that too. And, okay, German Reich is justifying against us. How interesting. I know I have the historical thing clicked. Oh God, start loving what's going on, and they didn't do that to me before. That they're justifying against us. And Poland isn't in the Allies yet, and I was expecting them to attack Poland in late 1939. Now, justifying doesn't mean they'll actually go to war, but it means they're thinking about it. Okay, how long until we get... Okay, we're going to wait till we get radar completed. How many days? Yeah, we'll wait. It's not justifying. There's justification war goals against us or our allies. The Reich is justifying against us. Right click to dismiss. They're going to demand the Sudetenland. Well, that's what I hope they're going to do. Let's see. Can we see what their current, Germany's unknown focus? We don't have enough intel to know what they're currently doing. And it should be against Sudetenland, wanting the Sudetenland. Okay, well, but see, they're not. Can't you check? Yeah, as I just tried. We they want to do better intel. And again, I'll go on this rant, and because I saw so many people accuse Paradox with cutting things out to just add it in the DLC. People, and I'm not just talking to, so if you don't, they may end up at war with the Allies because of that. Well, we're going to see, because I don't like the way things go for the Sudetenland. I've made my own version of it. It's really, really good. I'll say so myself. But and I'm not saying anybody currently listening to me, and maybe even listening to me later, said this, but so many people that they cut so much out of the from what was in Hearts of Iron 3, they've cut out to then just add back in DLCs for Hearts of Iron 4. No, I know enough that this is a completely new game. They've had to rebuild everything. You couldn't just grab code from the old game and stick it in this and have it work. At a minimum, you would have to rework that code. At best, it would be, and from things said publicly, I know, and I just want to clarify everything I'm talking about is public, is that even if they were to say grab the old intelligence mechanic, or look at the old intelligence mechanic from Hearts of Iron 3 to do it right for Hearts of Iron 4, they're going to have to recode that. They can have the same type of results and same type of mechanic, but they're going to have to recode it to work with this new version of the engine, to work with this new version of the game, to come out of it. But the developers, Podcat particularly, wants to do it better than intelligence was done in Hearts of Iron 3. So he wants to have the spy game happen, but he wants to have it happen much better than it ever happened in Hearts of Iron 3. And so to try to either convert the old stuff or sort of quickly try to do new code of the old, and to have the old sort of results, it was going to cost money and take time. And we know the game was released too soon. We know they've tacitly admitted that. So, because they announced it too soon and whatever. So it wasn't ready. So they didn't cut things to add it in DLC. Just they've still got to build stuff, and so they still want to do this. But what they have looked at and are working at with some of this stuff is simply some of this mechanic here. Is we haven't done decryption enough to have good enough spies to know what Germany's doing well enough. So that's why we can't see things happening as well. Also, the meta is spamming everything but BCs. Well, that's, I think, because of the London Naval Treaty situation, I think, on some of that. Okay, so now that we have done that, we can now do this very quickly. And we can also get better radars faster. Okay, now... we may be at war before I want to be at war. Air rearmament, which gets us bases, but which gets bomber and fighter, amphibious warfare research to marine, destroyer, lots of good things, But what I want to do here now is Commonwealth ties to try to unlock some of the developments of some of these other nations, though this is also good. We're going to end up at war, but that's too soon. I don't know. But we're going to start with that. Okay, I'm still not understanding you entirely, Django, but sorry about that. Seals and DDs can do torpedo pretty much every capital ship. Yes. Yes, they can. I am going to try to do mine warfare extreme in this. We are going to spam mines out everywhere, and then to see its practical effects. How many okay, we need a few more. We'd like a few more because I want 2 full production lines of mine laying subs. We are going to cover the waters in mines. What are the French doing out here? Oh, moving troops. We'll get more fuel. We're full up on fuel currently. We will, there's no need to get more fuel until we need it, because we will have access to the American unlimited amounts of fuel, functionally. Fuel, US 927, we'll be able to get Venezuela 60, we'll be able to trade with Iraq, we'll be able to trade with Iran, until we maybe take them over. We may lose British Malaya, the Netherlands, some of that fuel is coming from down here. For the Netherlands, as opposed to the Dutch East Indies fuel, but we'll have access to the fuels off here from the Netherlands. Well, British Raj may need their fuel. I don't know at some point. So yeah, we've got plenty of fuel. I think that's a bit under, but I don't know. Well, that's for export or whatever. But yeah, probably have a bunch more. I haven't really played with Germany under this new thing, but export just generally overall and specifically to us if we want it. So we've got access to plenty of fuel. Yeah, I see what's here, and I have played through to the defeat of France, and I will have to ramp up. But please understand, Duncan, when I'm not playing Germany, if Germany, you're talking about a different game. Right now, I can't have any more fuel. I have the maximum amount of fuel that I can store up. I can't get any more unless, and there's the unless there, unless I start building fuel silos, which means I have to stop building dockyards or military factories. And so I would rather get the ships built now and in production and later build more fuel silos. So I've maxed out my current fuel. If I trade for more fuel, it doesn't help me. I've stored up as much as I stored up. I can do so. So I can't do any more. Naval strike tactics, very good. Okay, November. Okay, getting close to doing those. No, I want your views, please do, and I will explain myself like I did. And sorry if it seems heated, I don't mean to be, because you have your understanding of things, and I will tell you mine, and I may be wrong. I want mountain troops before I want. Mountain troops might work very well in Norway, so let's get going with that. So yeah, And I do miss things too. You know, things that should be done that I don't do. Okay, military high command. We're getting ready for the war, defending France. So we're looking at it, and we're going to defend it primarily with infantry units, France at least. So we're going to go with Kenneth Anderson, infantry expert, which infantry division attack and defense improved. So we will do that. Surprised that Republican Spain is on their own. Okay, well, here we go. This is, and I've noticed they did stop justifying against us. And Czechoslovakia is yet not in our thing. So they're on their own, or we must defend it. So we can get condemn aggression, opinion, condemn war goals against that, and gets event. So we could push for that, but we're not prepared for this. So we're going to do the historic thing, and I wouldn't say betray Czechoslovakia, because there is no real way capable to defend it, but we're doing that. We're planning for a late 39, early 1940 start of the war. Yeah, well, it just, I've played and I've looked at the situation. Okay. Question of Yugoslavia. And I get where you're coming from, and it can become a struggle, and you just have to sort of manage it as it gets ready. Treaty of Munich might mean peace in our time, or it may not. Germany is hardly the only country seeking to redraw the borders of Europe. The government of Prince Paul has so far been surprisingly mum about the fate of their main armament supplier. This has made quite a few people in the diplomatic service wonder if the Yugoslavs knew what was going to happen, and they may have in fact agreed to it. Should we consider reminding them that any sort of agreement with Germany will be considered as a hostile act if war were to break out? British pressure. We must they must still be in shock. We're going to put pressure on them, because if war breaks out, we're going to tell them that we're not going to like it. We can go back to this map. Okay, so we've improved our radar. That's the other thing, that as we get closer, we start out with some radar, because Britain had some radar. It's a little early in 36, I think, for this, but we do have some radar here. We will be building this up. Hopefully either by the war or before the start of the war. Okay, November, 108 days. Yeah, let's do that. Get some decryption going. Do we still under the effects of it? Oh, are we looking? I think we may be, or maybe it is off. It could be off. I guess it's off now. I guess it's gone. I didn't notice that. I know we had it before. But, and there's several events and everything tied around all of that. But I guess that's off now that this is going on. Basically, and if nothing else puts a nail in it, is the Czechoslovakia question. It's only right now that Chamberlain becomes rearmor. He only at this point does he start to wake up for rearming Britain. Okay, how are we doing? We got a lot of troops. That's good. We have some divisions currently in training. What is our current equipment stockpiles? 30,000 motorized. Okay. Well, I think we're going to double the amount of infantry divisions in production. And that will, of course, mean bunch more stuff, but I want a big, because we may lose a lot of divisions in France, and so I want reserves of equipment. Get some Royal Gurkhas building. Well, currently we don't have that as a unit type, and I don't think we ever will, but we can request forces up to 20 divisions. We're not going to request them now. We're at peace and we don't need them, but hopefully they have some good can we see their I don't know if we can see their order of battles for their divisions. I don't think so, even though they're now, see, we know what they're doing, you know, for their integrated princely railways. And IKB and I talked a while ago, we'd love to see Railway Empire do a British India DLC. Just a note to those watching, I will be playing very shortly the Railway Empire game German Reich DLC. Germany is just they call it, but it's actually starts before the formal formation of the unification of Germany and railway development. Now we'll be playing that together. Badge to make some. Well, not to get. I don't think we can get Gurkhas. Well, you're talking about oh, pause. Specifically a Gurkha type unit. I don't think we have that option. But we can see about trying to get some of India's, and that's basically they were able. Yes, yeah, well, yeah, I understand what you're saying about that, JP, and that's not a bad idea. Okay, well, yeah, we'll throw in, well, how many, okay, we need about 3 more. No, and we have, okay, so we'll do a couple of more up here. Now, we are going to now come over here. We're going to develop Australia, which, as you see, civilian factory, 2 naval dockyards, and a naval dockyard. And plus they'll get increased public opinion and things. So we will develop Australia next. No, I mean just use some divisions using British or Indian manpower to build. Okay, the decision designer you're talking. Okay, you're talking here. Yeah, we could. Oh, I didn't know this. Thank you. I actually didn't know this. I had not looked here. Okay, so we could do these. We could copy these. I did not know this. So, well, I really wanted to just see what it is. Okay, well, we're gonna make sure you wanted to. Yes, we're deleting that because we can come back here. I did not know this. Thank you. Yeah, we'll use Indian manpower. That's very interesting. Like I'm saying, I want to just view. Okay, so this is not a very good armor division in that it's, in a way, it's a little better than ours because ours just is an armored regiment or tank brigade that has no support, but that would be slow. Infantry template. Okay. Let's see. I'm looking to see if we have something with Gurkhas here. Specifically. I'm not seeing it. As an elite unit type. I'm not seeing it. Yeah, so we can use XP to adjust, but I was looking to see that. Okay, I did not know this. That's British Malaya. And of course we have the United Kingdom, which of course we already are, but so we can get that. Okay, I did not know that. We're not going to Well, what's their best? Garrison district, yeah. I want the support units, okay. Engineers, nice. Engineers reconnaissance, better. Reconnaissance artillery with mainline artillery unit. More artillery. Okay, we're going to copy this. We're going to train one of these. And where do we have, where can we put, nope. I was wondering where this, let's put them here. So we are now training up, and I presume we're going to equip, but with their manpower. Oh, this is great. I did not know this. Thank you. I've been looking around through a lot of this stuff, but I did not know we could get directly build their unit, or use our equipment to build their units, but for us. Oh, that is great. We're still just training away here in Britain to earn up more of these army experience points. We need to get to 10. I want to put reconnaissance. Okay, small caliber. Okay, and we're now in January 39, which I was sort of waiting for with some of these other things. And we're going to come here, which will increase the number of factories in the state, which will be able to build more dockyards and things. Okay, manage. So, yes, I know about, but I didn't know. British Raj. Very good. Signal companies, very good. Now over to here. Construction speed. Yeah, we want to, because we're still building more bases. We're going to do that first. I think we're going to be currently, that'll cost us half a point per day, so we'll still be making a point per day. Developing in Australia. Yeah, let's do this. Let's nation building in the British Raj. Well, we want to tie them closely to us. Okay, come in here. We, as you can see, we're moving our, and we should probably put him at least temporarily under there. This is our mobile units. Oh no, 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 you stay here. They were, well, for London maybe? Get out of somewhere where they're attrition. Attrition up, keep total attrition. National Spain won, and we got prepared defenses. Very nice. Okay, yes. Good, but we're going to come here and get better production. And, now we're going to start on some radar. Let's do that there. And let's start down here. The reason we're doing this now is because we're going to wait, and then we'll be able to put more factories in once we get this concentrated industry level 3 done. Building up more political power. Also, which is going to be very interesting, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, because we have sort of a little bit of dead time here, is the new government in exile mechanic. That is very interesting, and we're thinking about it because of the learning about able to build colonial troops myself, because I knew very well that we could request units, and that is one of my biggest dislikes of Hearts of Iron 3, in that I can't get units from, whether they're my puppets or my Axis allies, because I could easily create events to make allies a type of puppet, just for coordination. But with the governments in exile, when, say, Poland falls, it will calculate that Britain, though Poland obviously is not, but likely, but when, say, more and historically, but when Poland falls, or when the Netherlands fall, Britain gets a percentage of the equipment at the time that gets smuggled out or evacuated out of the Netherlands or wherever, sort of like Germany capturing equipment and taking it, but you'll get a percentage of that. You'll get a government in exile in your own country, in Britain, as the leader of the alliance, and you also get some units arriving that escape that will add to your order of battle. So that is very good. Okay, so we're now at 39. We could issue gas mask, which helps war support and gain stability. We could use more war support. We got plenty of stability. But that allows us to military training, which gets rid of the war to end all wars. Where is that? The war recruitable population. So that would boost 25% of our recruitable population. That is something that we will get to at some point. I don't know if that's what we're going to do next, but possibly. Yeah, you go down that path. Because the other thing I want to do is develop the Raj, maybe do, well, eventually all of these, but I don't want to. Asia, I'm putting off that. If Fortify East Asia, that. Singapore, Hong Kong, civilian factory, but the naval dockyard is very tempting me. Destroyer focus, motorized army, BSA. That's nice too. 10% reduction in cost of. I think we're, because I want to get that recruitable population up. So we're going to issue gas masks to our population. World tension is obviously over 20% now. What do we got? 32%. Yeah. Mostly no. I haven't decided against helping the scientists, the German and Italian. I've mostly just been using the political power somewhere else. My opinion is we need more political power. When the game first came out, Hitler as a leader, in this position, spammed lots and lots of political power out for Germany, and it was too much, so it was basically cut in half. When I coded up Third Reich events for Hearts of Iron 4, I restored Hitler's over political power generation, because I used up a bunch of political power in the events that I created. So having, whether a particular leader or a particular one of these things or something, or minister down here, generate more political power, is fine so long as it's sort of required to do this. And you know, it just, how much do we do at any one time? And this is good to think about now. Okay, we could, let's see, these few guys here, Quartermaster General, Naval and Air, yeah, good, nice, but a little bit of political power, but ideological drift, well, we don't need to ideologically drift anywhere towards us. Daily democratic support, we got plenty of that. And armaments organizer conversion. So we don't really need to fill this slot with anybody currently available. Some would be nice and helpful, but not needed. Aircraft designer, that I want to get before 1940, for when we do the Spitfires. Yeah, you know, I think now let's grab, because we've got so this will disrupt stability a little bit here. But we've got 100%, and we have ruling party popularity, and George V here. No, sorry, the 6th. Sorry, yeah, I do know how to read a little bit. And plus other things, so I think we can afford it. So we're going to grab that. That would be good, because I had been thinking about that. So we're going to grab the Germans. Fortify it because you can do that. The Burma Road later supports Chinese. Yeah, I do know that we can get down that path, and that is something. I'm just focused on the European theater first, and we're going to see how this goes. As you can see recently, and remember, the war, it's fairly early in 39, and it was historically in sort of late 38 this time we had, and it will vary from time to time, Spain fall, you know, a Republican Spain, and Japan is sort of historical, sort of not, but I think by now they were down here, but not in this section here. At this time. So they do a lot of work on balancing the game and trying to make this work, because then they'll tell you this is not a historical simulation, this is a game. Oh, I don't want to, I didn't realize, yeah, we don't want to actually exercise you. Stop exercising. I want to exercise the infantry, not the tanks. So yeah, shouldn't be under that command. And so they work to balance, for me to ever do, yeah, and they may do that, but it's one thing to balance the game well for AI versus AI. It's another thing to deal with the game AI versus humans. That is where I think they're falling down. Okay, we're going to let's see. I wanted to get those. Those are going good. We're gonna wait till 40. Magnetic detonator. That's what messed the Americans up. Okay, yeah, I think we can afford to do this now. So we'll get that really fast. So we're gonna have lots of radar. Radar everywhere. Is Hood your current flagship? I don't know. Not even sure where the Hood is. You know where it was likely to be in 1936? That's where I'm presuming it is now. Rodney, Royal Oak, Royal Saw. Yes, Hood, current flagship. Yep, it currently is, and they've added the yeah, well, they're up in, yeah, we're up in Scapa Flow, right? Actually, in 1936, they weren't up in Scapa Flow, to the best of my knowledge. In 36, because I just recently was reading stuff, that as the war is getting likely, like around this time, they start reactivating, getting the base ready to house the fleet up in Scapa Flow, but they weren't there then. It comes eventually. So most of the ships are down in populated parts of Britain, so that sailors can they're not isolated up in the Orkneys. Trust me, the Orkneys of Scotland, there ain't much happening up there to this damn day. I've never been there, but I've been, well, I guess this sort of closeness. I have not been up to Caithness up here. I'd like to go up here someday, right at the tip of Caithness. But I've been up to Inverness up here a fair number of times. I lived here for not quite 6 months, but almost 6 months. Here in Edinburgh once, and I've driven all over, well, from here all over this parts of Scotland. Lots. So I know it fairly well. Okay, so yeah. Let's see, what do we want to do? Yeah, I know it's more radar. We're getting close. Let's build 2 more factories. Now, one here in London. We do one in Sussex. Then more radar. Okay, that's maxed out for that zone currently. Oh no. There's a problem with small islands. You get to where you gotta be careful where you click. More radar there. We're gonna come over here to Alexandria. Throw on some radar. I'm not worrying about Asia again yet, but we will definitely get something down to here we can build in our colonies, so we will do that eventually. But notice also here, especially now that we've built a bigger radar, you don't need radar in each one of these provinces to cover the area effectively, as you can see. So it's better once you have the tech to concentrate it. Perhaps refit her? Maybe. What are you suggesting we refit her? Yeah. Stats. Kilometer range. I know the Bismarck sinks the hood, but with sort of a lucky shot. But I don't know specifically what we would do in this game version here to do. But well, I think we'll save that for next episode, the discussion and everything. So I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. If you would, if you haven't already, please subscribe. I also love hearing from you, so love hearing comments on what you're thinking of the game, what you're thinking of the current setup. Please comment, and of course, really do me a big favor and click either one of the videos popping up on your screen or one of the YouTube suggested videos on the right side of your screen, one of my videos there. Just watch a few seconds of it. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm and for what it recommends to other people. So I would really appreciate that. Thanks so much. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron. Yeah, I don't think we're under the I want to save this London Naval Agreement anymore. So I don't think that is much of an issue. I don't think. I'd have to dig into it a little bit more. I want to thank all of you guys. My boss's father was on the hood. How interesting. For some reason you cannot refit engines. Yeah. They've, make judgment calls about what you can refit and not. I do know there has capabilities to do that, and I think Scapa Flow we could actually do that, but I'm just not sure. what we should do here. We could exercise it, obviously. Let's do everything. It's battlecruiser, right? Add multi-class. Oh no, I keep hitting the wrong damn button. I hate that. No. Dump that. I meant to hit here. Okay, is this the same as the hood currently? Let's see if we can get both of these up on the screen. I want to see if they're the same stats. Select hood. Okay, speed. Okay, yeah, faster. Same range. Same hit points. Same reliability. Supply use the same. Manpower. Well, light attack. Okay. Actually, this battle cruiser is less than the hood. Heavy attack is also less than the hood. Piercing, because this is a battle cruiser, right? Yeah, BC. Torpedo, yeah, it doesn't have any torpedoes. Armor, it's better than this. It's currently, well, yeah, it's currently better, except for speed. It's a little slower, but that's probably maybe because it has heavier armor. So I don't know that we could, if we could do this better. Yeah, Admiral class. So it's not quite the same. Sub detection is slightly worse. Surface detection is slightly worse. Surface visibility is the same. Fuel usage is the same. So yeah, it's actually a little better than this version of the Admiralty class. Now, again, as I've said before, they're entirely working on a module system that's the same for all the nations, meaning German armor is the same as American armor, is the same as British armor. And I've saved somewhere an infographic, sort of charts, that the U.S. at the end of the war got a hold of a bunch of armors. British armor, Japanese armor, German armor, and American armor. I don't think they had Italian. And they shot at them. They got a hold of chunks of battleships or whatever, and at different thicknesses. And they shot at them to see, because they have different armoring techniques. And so it's not just how many inches is the steel, how thick, but it's also what it's made up of. And so the U.S. shot at it with the same gun and same ammo, so that they were trying to figure out what the how good it was to penetrate it and that kind of thing. So someone can go in and look at the armor stats and figure out generically based on what is expected British quality of armor. They'll probably change over time, but different methods. And so to come up with what German armor, and then how thick was the Bismarck's armor, to know how effective the Bismarck's armor is, not just say, and I don't know, 9 inches of armor or some number value. And so again, as we were talking earlier, modders can come in and create specially available module sections that some that are only available for Germany, some that are only available for America, or some that may be because when an alliance happens, if the U.S. wants to take over British armor techniques or vice versa or something like that, share technology to build with some different known techniques. So that can be a thing, and that's why, again, I'm not going to argue with anybody who knows ships whether these are good values for the hood versus a generic thing. This is probably someone, I don't know what they may have picked, either a different sets of some of these stats for this class, for this specific ship. So I don't know, and I don't know of a good way to get in to look at it in more detail than I'm now looking at it currently for the hood. So, and so people can come in and build in more detail, maybe better, the hood or a General Admiralty class or Bismarck, or what was it, the H-44, you know, the German super battleships or something like that, and develop all that in mods. And that's what I'm looking forward to in the mods. Well, you know, guys, I think we're going to end the stream now. Normally Sunday's a little shorter, but today, because of, like I said, didn't get as much sleep as I might like because of things going on here and things. So I want to thank you all for showing up. Thanks, everybody. We will be playing some other time, some more, probably next weekend, Railway Empire, the German thing. Thought about it today. I just don't really feel like pushing for it. And I'll probably sometime tomorrow, just on my own, play Panzer Corps or something, or Order of Battle, NSEG, or something for more stuff. And presumably, haven't been contacted yet, but presumably, well, on the 4th, there's a big announcement coming for games on Slitherine, so that you might want to show up on the 4th for stuff with Slitherine, but presumably I'll be on Slitherine on Thursday, 11 a.m. my time. So if you want to catch me some more there. And yes, Arno's telling me it's a good time to end, because it's always good to leave them wanting more instead of droning on until they all leave. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day, night, morning, whatever. See you next time.